So welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here for today. I mean, what can I say? You know, we are closing up an incredible Monday, but also we're having an incredible start of the week because we have on the show the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only Lisa. Lisa, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I mean, I'm doing fantastic. I mean, what better way to close up a fantastic day, but also to start up a badass week than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you. It means a lot.
There you go. Now, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, helps a lot. But also, on the description below, you're going to find a lot of Lisa's social media. Let's follow her. But also, let's discover why she's super badass, right? Now, without further more, let's jump in. So I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question, which is, what was the moment that hit you? You know, like, this is it. This is what I'm meant to do.
Absolutely. When I was younger, I was always fascinated by movies. I grew up watching Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, a lot of the classics. And I remember, thinking to myself, this is something I'd love to do someday, at the age of 5. And it never really left. But I would say probably the moment that it hit me would be in my one of my most recent projects, a Western I did called Lady Outlaw. It was the first time I was able to really dive deep into a character and work on a character for so long. Um, I remember a specific day on set. We we were working in 106-degree Texas heat in full Western gear, and we were doing a really intense scene. It was in between takes. We were catching our breath. I was working with incredibly talented Nicole Maddox and Christopher Henry, who play Ellie and George in it. And I remember looking at them and looking at my silhouette and shadow in the dirt, and just couldn't help. We were exhausted, but I couldn't help but smile. That was. I remember thinking to myself, this is what I want to be doing the rest of my life. This feels right, and it feels like This is something I'm meant to do.
There you go. Isn't that amazing? You know, when I mean, I was having this conversation before, the fact that it's so interesting how sometimes, whenever you are kind of doing the thing you meant to do, somehow things start to happen. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it can happen sometimes that you are pursuing something that maybe is not meant for you. And even though you might be talented for it, still, there are going to be signs along the way, kind of
Mhm.
hinting you, like, you know what, this might not be for you, you know? Which I
Yeah.
sometimes say that if you get a chance to kind of quiet the whole, yeah, if you can manage to actually quiet the whole noise of the city and everything, and to actually listen to your kind of inner self, or to listen to life,
Yeah.
basically, you start to discover how things are so, like, kind of meant to be somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Which is great. So I love it. But tell me, was it like during a specific role, or even, you know, on stage, or even watching a film as a kid, that made you kind of to pursue more, you know, like the whole acting career?
Probably Indiana Jones. Watching that at younger, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, even Mission Impossible. Just looking at those characters, and I've always been one to love action and adventure, so I kind of swung that way with TV and film. But it was probably those. In a way, in a lot of ways, Lady Outlaw was kind of my Indiana Jones. So yeah, probably them, and just falling in love with those characters and wanting to be able to play characters like that someday, that other people could fall in love with, or have an escape, from a bad day, or bring people together through a movie in a role.
Totally. What would you say is it's your top five, top 10? Yeah, let's go top 10 favorite films of all time. Go.
Oh gosh, there's so many. I know I'm going to forget some. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Mm.
um, Jurassic Park, the original, Jurassic Park Lost World, um, Titanic, Casablanca. Gosh, there's so many good ones. Um, One that comes to mind, Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol. It's more recent, or Mission Impossible Fallout. Um, if we're going into romance, The Longest Ride, I really love. That's a newer one. It's a Western romance. I've lost count. There's so many amazing good ones. I couldn't possibly list them all, but
Mm.
yeah, so many.
Okay. Okay. So westerns. It's kind of your It's kind of your sweet spot, let's say.
Yeah,
That's
westerns
cool.
in action.
Okay, I'll take it. What do you think about the next Jurassic Park film that it's, that couple of, I think days ago, right? They released like a trailer to it.
Yeah, I saw that. It looks great. I'm excited to see what they do with it. They always pull something new out of the hat, so I'm excited to see how they go about it.
Totally. Like the first time when I saw Jurassic Park was like the original one, like the very first one.
Hmm.
I was just a kid, and that scene specifically when the T-Rex tears like the whole roof of the bathroom, that
Uh-huh.
got me shocked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, holy
Yeah.
crap, you know what I mean? Like he actually got this guy in his most vulnerable, like the most vulnerable
Yep.
position every human person is. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I remember when I was younger being scared of the velociraptors from that kitchen scene for quite a while. It was,
Totally. Totally.
yeah.
Have you ever saw like this film? I mean, I watched it also when I was a kid, that it's kind of based on somehow. I mean, I don't know if it was based on a true story or a myth or something like that. I mean, it's an oldie one, but like the whole film is based that. So there's this like kind of a tribe in Africa or region in Africa,
Hmm.
right? And somehow the hunters there are getting butchered by a group of lions that are like incredibly smart, right?
Hmm.
So then some more bats, yeah. So then this group of hunters, which is like the most experienced ones, go there, and like during like the whole film to it, I remember that the lions were like incredibly smart. They knew about the
Hmm.
traps they were putting. I mean, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm super sure there's like something about that in a museum in Chicago, something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I remember when I saw that film a couple of days later, they took me to the zoo. I mean, I was still a kid, and when I saw the lions, I got freaked out. You know what I mean? But that's like the thing here that I do love about films, the fact that they manage to kind of blow your mind away. They
Yeah.
manage to inspire you. They manage to get you hooked on either on a specific scene, a specific role to it. And I think that's amazing when like for example, when you see somebody's playing a role, when you
Hmm.
manage to get hooked to that character. You know what I mean? When you
Yeah.
actually have emotions to it that even know that your brain knows that it's not real, that it's actually
Hmm.
fiction, but still your emotions are real. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah,
whole
absolutely.
mix to it, I find it very interesting and very at the same time it shows you how much we do crave and we do need entertainment for sure. Films, TV
Hmm.
shows, theater, like all of that.
No, absolutely. This film is very powerful and in a lot of ways.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
But tell me, do you remember the feeling of your first edition? Was it like terrifying, exciting maybe, or a complete disaster with a lesson that you never forget?
Oh yeah, definitely. My first audition was actually for an acting school called the Studio Group in Long Beach. I didn't have any acting experience going in. It was kind of just off a whim. I'm going to give this a shot. Something I've always wanted to do. And I went in. It wasn't great. It was, it was it was all right. But looking back, I'm like, oh boy. But it was enough to get in and then be able to learn from there and keep improving. So
There you go. And here you
yeah,
are.
yeah, here I am.
Badass. Now, what was like the first time when you truly felt seen as an actor? Like, like someone finally got what you were trying to bring to life.
Mhm. Probably one of the earlier westerns I did, called The Oldest Posse, was actually with the same director, the amazing Brett William Mauser, that did Lady Outlaw. And I was playing the same character, Rose Dunn. She's based on a real outlaw. And it was a small scene, about 5 lines or so, small role. And I did this head turn in one of the scenes, and I was trying to focus on, because as actors, when we start, we think we have to always be moving or doing things, but sometimes you just have to stay grounded and just react to what's actually going on. And I didn't even, I was just in character, and I did this head turn as a reaction. Um, and when Lady Outlaw came up, it was a spinoff of that character. Brett, he offered me the role. And it was I really hadn't had a big leading role before. I'd worked with another great director, Kevin Stagger, who gave me a shot before that. But that this was a lot bigger, and he trusted me with it. He used that one head turn, to say, okay, she's got this. She's the one for this role, and I'm really grateful that he gave me that opportunity.
There you go. And do you still
Yeah.
remember like that first time when you saw yourself either screen, TV, like how was that first feeling?
It was something. I started out doing a lot of short films and student films, so I didn't really see myself on the big screen until some of the later projects. And I think I like to see how I've grown because sometimes, my earlier project, I'll see a lot more of myself or that I am acting. Whereas as I've grown, I can separate it. I see the character instead of me. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right. So I mean, if I'm able to do that, then it's really magical.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm figuring out why you're super badass. I'm loving this. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool.
Thank you.
And tell me, looking back,
Mhm.
what's something you wish someone had warned you about when you were just getting started into the whole business
Mhm.
to it?
Ooh, probably the downtime. It's a very unpredictable career. We never know really when our next project's going to be. So when you're coming off of a project and you have, downtime when you're auditioning and everything like that, you don't really know when you're going to be able to work next. And it can be tough because we're very, as actors, as people in the industry, we're really creative and we want to create, we want to work. So probably just saying, okay, in the downtime, do something, and I've actually started writing my first short film to direct that I'm really excited about. So kind of creating those opportunities for yourself, whether it's filming a scene with friends or watching a movie and studying it, or writing something and shooting it yourself, kind of taking those opportunities and making them for yourself to not only progress your career but help you get through that downtime so you can still be creative and still feel like you're doing something towards your career and your work.
And during that whole downtime you're talking, tell me how you stay motivated. Because I mean, I would assume that sometimes might get like a little bit tricky or challenging. Knowing that you're auditioning and auditioning and auditioning and nothing. So how you stay motivated? How you still keep up the pace on a situation that eventually those kind of toxic thoughts are coming. Like you kind of feel them coming. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. There's a lot of rejection, a lot of not hearing back. You submit an audition and you don't hear anything. So I've kind of learned to, once I submit something, move on. If I get it or I get a call back, I'll hear back. Um, I I try to look forward to things. Like I said, the short film I'm writing, or I got a spy thriller coming up. I try to look forward to the things in the future, and keep wrapping my brain around things that I want to do, goals I want to do, roles I'd love to play. So trying to stay creative as possible. That way, when those thoughts do creep in, because we do have that big fear of missing out. As actors, when we come home from the end of a day, it's studying lines, or we can always be doing something. We can be auditioning or updating our reels or getting new headshots. So just trying to do maybe something little every day. That way, I feel like I'm working on my craft and working towards something, even if I'm not on set.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's challenging, right? Whenever
Hmm.
you are kind of seeing like on social media, right? And you see like your peers booking things and you haven't.
Hmm.
So I sometimes blame the social media to it, that somehow it yeah, it kind of gives pushes us or gives us like some stress to it, because of the whole fear of
Yeah.
missing out. So sometimes when that happens, at least to me, I'm like, you know what, I will just move away from social media for just a bit, so I can
Hmm.
take a break, take a breathe, and then keep moving forward. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's really healthy to get into that mindset of, even when you see other people booking, you be happy for them. And everyone's on a different journey, and everyone's gonna kind of get that shot or move forward in the career at a different pace or a different role. So staying
totally,
positive always helps me and cheering other people on.
there you go. And there's always like a role or project that changes the game, you know, like for you in general. So when was that for you, and what did it teach you about yourself?
It would probably be Lady Outlaw again. I worked on Rose Dunn for we filmed it within a month, but I worked on her for several months beforehand. So I really was able to connect with her. I was really able to become her, to be able to feel her emotions. So I not only learned a lot about acting through her, I was able to realize that I can do this through her. It was a very challenging role, but I also learned about myself. She taught me. She's a the character. She's a young woman figuring out where she belongs in the world around her, and that's me right now. I'm in my early 20s, figuring out the next steps for myself. And so I was able to connect to that a lot, and, to be able to work with an incredible cast and crew like I did. They taught me things. I hope I taught them things. And it just showed me not only the type of actor that I want to be, but also the type of person I want to continue to be. I want to
Mm,
continue to have that ambition and drive and kind heart, and just keep going how I'm going.
there you go. And when you step, into a new character, is it
Mhm.
more like putting on a mask or peeling back layers of yourself?
A little bit of both. I think when you're on a project that's a little bit shorter, like a student film or short film, it is kind of like a mask. You're stepping into the character. But when you do have time to work on someone, and really dig deep into them, I do feel like you become them. You put a lot of yourself into them, but you also have a lot of them into you for that amount of time, because if you are trying to truly feel what they're feeling in the moment. And when you're playing a character for a long period of time, you start to morph and become one, which is really an experience like no other.
I like it. Okay, okay.
Mhm.
And what's like the wildest thing you've done to prepare for a role, either method acting, gone too far, or like deep research that changed how you see the world, basically?
I haven't done that much method yet, but I'm sure it's in my future. I said, I love putting myself into the feelings of my characters. So with that, there's a little bit of method there. Um, I would say, who, um, yeah, I would say just becoming the character as much as possible. I am excited to delve into more method if that role does come along. Um, but yeah, I just keep going how I'm going, and kind of see what opportunities come up in roles. But I'm all for method and going as much as I can to become that character.
Totally. I mean, at the end, I think that if you are like the more open you are
Hmm.
about life in general and about the opportunities that are granted to you, that are giving to you, the more you, yeah, the better you will become on your craft. But also, I think that at the same time, you are becoming more into the better version you're supposed to be at some point in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
And have you ever found yourself accidentally becoming one of your characters in real life? And if that happened, what was that like?
Um, I After a shoot day, I tend to still carry some characters with me on the way home, or I'll come home in fake blood and scare people in the elevator. But yeah, I think there's always a part of the character that stays with me for a little bit, um, and I some of my mannerisms may carry over, or copy the character I'm playing, but it does fade after a little bit. So I use it when I'm on the project, but then after the project's over, it'll fade, and that character will be a part of me. If it was a special character, it'll be, I'll carry them with me. But I'll especially when you work on the next project, you start becoming yourself again, and digging into someone else.
And do you have like a specific method or technique when you finish a project, you're good to go? Do you have something that you kind of close that character like for example, some of the actors that I've interviewed, some of them will have like this thank you letter. They will actually write like a letter to the character saying thank you and then throwing it off. So kind of have like that like this closing chapter so they can move
Hmm.
on. Do you have something like that or having kind of a wide experience, something like that, let's say?
I like that idea. I did for Rose Dunn. I kept her duster and her hat. And what I did was I literally and figuratively hung it up on my wall. So I think in that I kind of hung hung her up and the role and thanked her in that way. So, but I do, yeah, I do like doing that and, being grateful to the character for allowing me to play them.
Totally. I mean, at the end, because at the end it's part of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That even though
Yeah.
that yes, you're playing someone that might be totally opposite from the real you. At the
Hmm.
end, your body, your essence, your presence is the one
Yeah.
who is like delivering that message for the character. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of understandable for you to either take a like a memento or something about a
Hmm.
character to kind of stay. Because at the end it stays with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. So you have a cool ass hat, basically.
Basically, yeah, it's a little worn down from all the stuff we put it through, but yeah, it's hanging on my wall.
There you go. There you go. And tell me, how do you protect your own emotions when you're constantly digging into someone else's pain or kind of trauma on set?
Hmm. As my normal day job, I work as an EMT, and we always have that mindset that when we come home at the end of the day, we take off the uniform, and we leave what had happened that day, with the uniform. So I kind of carry that over with acting. When I take off the costume, and vice versa when I put it on, that's kind of me getting into character and letting go of the character at the end of the day. It parts of the character does stick with you, especially if you're filming the next day. I like to stay in character a little bit, but yeah, I try to once I take off the costume, that's me, becoming Lisa again before I put it back on.
There you go.
Yeah.
More badass. You're killing it here. Come on. Epic. And the whole acting world can be a roller coaster, right? So how do you stay grounded when everything feels chaotic, basically?
I am a big fan of my German Shepherd Nala. She's a ball of energy. So she's when I come home at the end of the day, at the end of a hard day, whether it's EMT or acting, she's always a bright face to see. So I guess I would say sticking with family and friends and then those I care about, they help me stay grounded. And I'm really lucky to have an incredible support system. My parents are my biggest supporters. I have many friends both in and out of the industry. So having those people around you definitely helps keep you grounded when things seem to be moving like a carousel around you.
Totally. I mean, chaos, it's part of it's part of I think sometimes that chaos is just part of our daily lives. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
happens with
yeah.
humans. Sometimes we might complicate things because we just want to, but at the
Hmm.
end, I do think that it's important for you to kind of stay grounded, which is easier said than done for sure, but it's
Yeah,
part of the whole thing.
yeah. Sometimes you can embrace the chaos. You can make it beautiful chaos.
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
So, but tell me, like, what's something about being an actor that no one ever talks about, but absolutely should?
Mm. I think probably going back to the fear of missing out as actors, as in the industry, we're always thinking about creating. Where we always want to be doing everything we can, and it feels like sometimes every minute that goes by that we're not submitting an audition or not doing something towards acting, that we're being lazy or not, and so I think it's important, for actors to know, it's okay to, take care of yourself. It's okay to do your regular day job, and it's okay. The fear of missing out, those roles that are meant for you are going to come to you, if you keep working hard. I'm a big fan of dreaming as long as you put hard work towards it, but you can't work hard if you're burnt out. So I think that's something, people should know about actors is we always want to be working, and then sometimes it can stress us out when we're not. But there's ways to manage it, and there's ways to still create even when we're not working, and that's what I love about this career.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, as I was saying before, it's just part of it. I mean, at the end, we are all
Hmm.
just humans, and
Yeah.
and if we are, I mean, even though if we are pursuing something like outside the typical box, let's say, at the end
Yeah.
we need breaks. We need time to work on ourselves. We need time to regroup.
Hmm.
We all
Yeah.
need those things. I mean, because at the end, I do think that if you push yourself too much, at some point you're just gonna feel burnout and then probably gonna hate it. I do think that like this mentality that go all in, like beast mode, that you're gonna you are gonna sleep when you die, like all of those things have discovered that, at least to me,
Yeah.
that they work when you're on the gym.
Hmm.
But when you walk out the gym, be normal again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Find what works for you and do the best at what you can do. And it'll
Totally.
lead somewhere. Yeah.
There you go. And tell me, what's one thing you still haven't done in your career that's burning a hole in your bucket list?
Oh boy, and people that know me know this, I would love to work with Tom Cruise on a Mission Impossible film. Tom Cruise, Steven Spielberg, Kevin Costner, Harrison Ford. I kind of I have a bucket list on my wall of people I'd love to work with, types of roles I'd love to play. And so I which I love because I can look at that every morning and be like, okay, this is what I'm working towards. It's not really about fame or fortune for me. It's being able to continue to be able to play roles that I can be proud of and that can have an impact and that I love to play. And so yeah, I would that Tom Cruise is at the top of my list for Mission Impossible. I trained with a stunt man that worked on Mission Impossible, so I'm trying to work my way up to that opportunity.
There you go. And I'm super sure at some point you're gonna make it happen.
Oh,
Let's
thank
face it.
you.
There you go. And if you could sit down with you at the very, very, very start of your career, what's the one piece of advice you would say to yourself, basically, to your younger self, let's say?
I would tell her to trust herself. I would tell her, make the choices that feel right to you and believe in yourself. You can do it if you work hard. And no matter what happens, always be kind and always be you.
More badass. What can I say?
I
You're
try.
killing it here. Epic, epic. And when people watch your work years from
Mhm.
now, what's the one thing you hope they feel or remember about you?
I hope they I hope they feel inspired or feel any type of emotion. I'm a small town country girl who didn't know anyone in the industry and I just gave it a shot and I just kept working hard. So I would hope they see someone who's very talented, but I also hope they see someone who's kind and hardworking and someone who just went out and they tried and they put their all into it. And if it's something that they want to do, that it inspires them to be able to go for it themselves.
There you go. Yeah, I'm speechless. What can I say? And like in general, like what motivates you? As we were
Mhm.
talking a little bit about before, we all have those days. So how you stay, yeah, like in general, how you stay positive when you have like those toxic thoughts invading your head, basically.
I try to focus on everything I'm grateful for. We all have that thought of I need to be doing more. I want to be doing more. I want to be working on those bigger studio productions and everything like that. But then I think back to projects like Lady Outlaw that were so special to my heart and I put so much of myself into, and I am so grateful for those opportunities. And so I try to. I try to think of the journey as, enjoying the present and staying positive, cheering people on, putting good thoughts out into the universe, manifesting, um, and again, just putting that hard work behind the dreams. And as long as I'm working towards those and being a good person, I'm it helps push those toxic thoughts out. That this is just keep going, keep working hard, and hopefully keep making a positive impact on the people I cross paths with.
Which I'm sure you do. So
Thank you. I
just
try.
saying. And what do you think the 12-year-old, yeah, like the 12-year-old version of yourself would think about you right now?
I think she'd be shocked, but I also think she would be proud. This is something I didn't imagine but always dreamed of. So I hope she would be proud and she would continue to work hard to be able to get to the point where I am now. Um, so yeah, I hope to make her proud, and I hope to make those around me proud, and hopefully I make myself right now and 12 years from now proud. So yeah.
I'm just gonna drop the mic because you're basically killing it here. So, and my last question,
Mhm.
so we can all enjoy and relax here. So here it is. What do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
Ooh, possibilities.
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 Okay, I'll take it. Sounds like a franchise to me. What can I say? And who knows, right? And at the end, what can I say? It's epic what you do. I love it.
Thank you.
It's badass. And because we all know, right, that doing something outside the typical box, it sometimes can be a pain in the butt. But you're making it happen. You're showing up. You are showing results here. I think that is super important, but it also shows that everything is possible. And I'm super sure there's people out there who sees you, besides as a role model, they see you as someone who is getting things done. And I think that is super important, especially right now in this crazy era we are facing in, like, and all of that. The fact that we can rely on someone like you who, besides creating besides presenting cool characters, it also showing us that it is possible, that you can do whatever you want in life, and that is super incredible. And I finally discover why you're super badass.
Oh, thank you. I've always tried to live by the saying, you could do anything you put your mind to. Something my grandfather used to tell me, and my parents continued to tell me as I've grown up. So there's a lot of possibilities
Totally.
in the world for all of us. But yeah.
What can I say, Lisa? The fact that, as I was saying, you're killing it here, you're making it happen, that's
Thank
super
you.
badass. And I also want to thank those who stayed the whole episode. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But also on the description, you're gonna find all of Lisa's social media. Let's follow her. Let's make her viral. # Team Lisa. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining
Thank
out
you.
there. Keep kicking ass. Keep rocking. And I'll be seeing you in the next one.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.